looking to get sober, my advice to you is this: create a good support system and create an environment that nourishes your relationship to sobriety. It is a full-time commitment. It is something that you are going to have to work at every single day for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying this to scare you. You need to hear this. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the challenge, the fear, the pain, the tears, it is all necessary for your growth. Guys, the first year of my sobriety was the most terrifying and loneliest year of my life. I went from being a social butterfly who at a very young age learned to numb her pain with drugs and alcohol, to suddenly being this scared little girl who had nothing to hide behind.
I always had, like alcohol or drugs to lean on when I felt a certain way.
I felt naked, exposed. I felt unprotected. I was like an open wound. I was so sensitive. I would cry at the drop of a hat. I was vulnerable, insecure. So many of my emotions felt intensified.
There are times when I get really lonely and that I wish I had a family to lean on or someone to talk to. I just kind of want to get away right now, and I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I mean, year one was rough. There were a lot of tears. There were a lot of breakdowns. I felt so alone. Okay, one of my biggest fears is being stranded in the middle of the ocean without any safety gear, any protection, and absolutely no rescue in place. And that's what year one felt like. It felt like I made an irrational decision to dive into uncharted waters without any safety gear. And then I was like, no one needs to know I'm here. F it. Yeah. And when I would have these breakdowns, there was no one coming to rescue me. Like, I had to figure it out. I had to pull myself together and figure it out. So for the first 6 months, it really, honestly, it felt like one big existential crisis. Like, I was questioning the meaning of life every single day. And then I eventually started questioning living altogether. But I kept it together, guys. I kept it together because a part of me believed in myself. A part of me knew I was gonna get out of this. I was gonna make it through. I was gonna succeed. I had to believe in myself.
Am I capable of figuring it all out on my own? I really do. I feel like I am so strong. I really believe that. And when this happens, when I start questioning myself, I feel like I am strong enough to pull myself out.
I needed to believe in myself. I needed to trust in the process. And most importantly, I needed to be patient. So things didn't really start to turn around for me until about 1.5 years into my sobriety journey. And I'll tell you, by then, I had developed a thick skin. I know it. I was becoming emotionally stronger. I felt it. Now, the pain associated with my first year of sobriety, yes, it was intense. It was hard. It was a challenge. But at the end of the day, it was temporary. And that is the most valuable thing that you can take away from my share. That it was temporary. The pain associated with addiction, that is there for as long as you are in it. Forever, if you stay in it. You understand? I made the better choice. And you can too. I'm gonna tell you how I did it. The first thing I needed to do was come to terms with the fact that I had a problem and that my life was headed in either one or two directions, prison or death. And I'm not exaggerating, guys. The day before I got sober, I was escorted off of a train by law enforcement, put in handcuffs, and placed in the back of a cop car as a suspect in a stabbing. This was my official rock bottom. This was that moment. How did I get here? How did I let this happen? When did I stop caring about myself and my future? Did I ever care? So many questions started flooding my head in that moment, and I felt like my life was over. And then it hit me. I am not ready for my life to be over. This is not where I belong. When I was later released, I made a promise to myself that I was going to get sober and that I was going to change the direction that my life was headed. And there was absolutely nothing that I was going to let get in the way of me making that happen. The first thing that I did after making that choice was cut off anyone who lived that lifestyle. And at the time, that was basically everyone in my life. I mean, I hung out with users, I hung out with dealers, I hung out with people who liked to party. That's it. So at that time, I was like, all right, I need to detach myself from this environment. You cannot even risk it. You cannot put yourself in a situation where you could blow your sobriety. Actually, about a month into my sobriety, I trusted a friend of mine who wanted to come hang out at my house. And he was a user and he offered me Coke. And I was like, oh my God, this is not happening right now. Get out. And I mean, that was a lesson in itself. It is so important that you completely and fully detach yourself from anyone who's using, anyone who's partying. You can't be hanging out with those people. You can't be going to clubs. You can't be, hanging out at hookah lounges, whatever, going to parties. You can't do it. Especially in year one. If you're trying to stay committed and you don't want to break your sobriety, just don't do it. Don't even risk it. That's what I did. And guys, it worked. It may have been rough year one, but it worked. I had to decide what my days were going to look like moving forward. How was I going to fill my time? I had 17 hours a day to utilize, and I was determined to stay sober, which meant that I needed to keep busy. Now, before I got sober, I did want to start an organizing business, and I actually tried, but I was not very successful. I wasn't ready, but I felt ready. I felt ready for the challenge. It was something I needed in my life at that time, because starting a business, it takes effort. It takes focus. It takes attention. It takes time, and I had all the time in the world. So I was ready. I was on a mission to learn everything there is to learn and know about starting a business. So that's exactly what I did. I started reading business books, listening to business podcasts, watching business content on YouTube. The point that I'm trying to make is that I started now involving all of these different activities and tasks in my life. And what I needed was to create some sort of structure, was to create order in my day, because it's not something that I had previously. Guys, creating structure in your day is probably one of the most beneficial things that you can do in year one of sobriety, because it keeps you motivated and it gives you something to look forward to. And the moment that you're idle for too long, that's when those negative thoughts and those bad habits start to resurface, and the last thing you want to do is have nothing to do. Got it? So if I were you, I would go grab a pen, because I'm going to tell you what I did in year one to create structure in my day, and also to stay consistent with implementing it and just getting shit done. So let's do it. My suggestion right off the bat is to start off small. I definitely went all in. I was like, oh, I'm getting sober. Let me just start a business. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying that you don't want to do anything that's going to overwhelm you or discourage you, because guys, it can and will happen if you take on too much too soon. I think that for me personally, going all in is what kept me sober. And that just worked for me. I don't know if it would work for you. You can do whatever you feel comfortable doing. So I'm gonna just go ahead and explain to you exactly what it is that I did, and then hopefully you can take something from it, you can learn, you can implement it, you can apply it in your daily life, and you can get sober and stay sober like I did. I don't know why I just got so excited, but I did. Okay, here we go. So once you have your goal, whatever that is, you're gonna break it down into smaller and workable parts. We're gonna call those smaller and workable parts short-term goals. And once you have your short-term goals, then you are going to create deadlines to reach those goals. And guess what? You're going to meet those deadlines because you're serious about staying sober and about reaching the ultimate goal. I designed a very strict schedule, and I included slots for everything, not just for all the business related stuff, but for my everyday stuff. So like bathing, meal prep, walks, exercise. So my 17-hour schedule was filled in. Like every slot was filled in, even sleep. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You do not have to do what I did. If you feel comfortable filling in the entire schedule and having something every hour on the hour like I did, that's what worked for me. It kept me motivated. I actually printed out my schedule and taped it to my door. I used it as the background to my phone. I got really serious about my sleep routine as well. Like I trained myself to go to sleep at the same time every day and wake up at the same time every morning. So I was waking up at 6:30 every day, going to bed at 11:30 every night. I finally felt like I had a purpose. I had something to look forward to every single day, and it transformed the way that I perceived education and time. I started to value both in a way I never had before. Over time, I mastered my routine. Why? Consistency. Consistency is everything. And within a year, I didn't even look at it as a routine. It became my lifestyle. I broke a 15-year cycle of drug and alcohol abuse in under a year. And now you know how I did it. It's your turn.